So, the Christina School District is at a really interesting point right now. With some new leadership in place, the focus has really shifted to improving public trust and transparency. We're going to dive into a pretty detailed proposal that's designed to do exactly that, by creating a whole new way of thinking about accountability and performance.
Right out of the gate, the plan uses this really powerful metaphor. It frames the district's challenge not as some kind of internal crisis, but as something caused by these huge external pressures that are literally squeezing the district from both sides. We're talking about deep, systemic issues that go way back, history, geography, state law, that this new plan wants to finally address head-on.
And wow, the scale of the financial pressure here is pretty staggering. This number, $41 million, is roughly the amount of money that flows out of the district and into charter and choice schools every single year. That is a massive drain on local taxpayer funds, and it's a huge part of that pincer movement we just talked about.
So to really wrap our heads around this plan, we're going to break it down into these 6 key areas. We'll look at the pressures the district is facing, the solution being proposed, and what it could all mean for students, parents, and taxpayers.
All right, so first up, let's dig into the why behind all this. What are the specific pressures that make a new approach like this so important right now?
The plan really boils it down to these 4 core factors. You've got these weird historical district boundaries, you've got the financial hit from school choice, you have an oversight system that's been, kind of passive, and on top of all that, it just costs more to provide the services our students in poverty need and deserve. Altogether, they create that perfect storm, that pincer movement, that really strains the district's ability to do its job.
Okay, so how do you even begin to tackle problems that are this deep and this systemic? Well, the proposal argues that you don't just make a small tweak, you build something new. And here it is, the centerpiece of this whole strategy is the Office of Educational Quality and Accountability, or OEQA for short. You can think of it like a Swiss Army knife for good government. It's designed to be completely independent, and it rolls a bunch of different oversight jobs, like an auditor, an inspector general, even a data expert, into one office that is laser-focused on transparency.
I love this slide because it really gets to the heart of the philosophy here. See, traditional oversight can feel like a hammer. It's all about punishment, finding someone to blame, and it just makes people scared to admit when something's wrong. The OEQA is designed to be a flashlight. Its job isn't to punish, but to shine a light on problems so we can actually fix the systems and build a culture where people are curious about getting better.
A huge part of building trust is just showing people you're being smart with their money, right? Well, the OEQA would have a really big role to play here, acting as a watchdog for taxpayer dollars and stopping what the plan calls economic leakage.
So one of the main ideas is to totally rethink how the district hands out contracts. Instead of automatically going with the cheapest bid, they'd use this best value rubric. Now, price is still the biggest piece of the pie, but it also looks at whether a company can actually do the job well, and this is key, what kind of positive impact they'll have on our local community.
And that community impact piece, it's a really big deal. It's based on this economic idea called the local multiplier. The theory is that every dollar you spend with a local business actually circulates through the community about 3 times. So, by prioritizing local companies, the district's money doesn't just get spent and disappear, it stays here, making our own local economy stronger.
Okay, so beyond just the money, that flashlight is also meant to shine a light on the actual educational programs to figure out what's working, what's not, and how we can make the whole culture better for teachers and students.
This is such a fundamental question, and one we've probably all thought about. When a program isn't getting results, our gut reaction is often to point a finger at the person in the classroom. But what if that's the wrong question to be asking in the first place?
And this is where something called a just culture comes in. Instead of asking who failed, it flips the script and asks, what system failed? This takes the focus off blaming an individual teacher and puts it where it belongs, on analyzing the program itself. This creates a safe space where teachers can actually say, hey, this isn't working, without fear, and that's the only way things ever get fixed.
And how do you guide those fixes? Well, use data. The OEQA would use a model called academic return on investment. It's a way to figure out which programs are giving us the biggest bang for our buck in terms of student learning. It means we can stop guessing and start investing our limited resources in things that are actually proven to work.
Think about it. In today's world, schools are sitting on a mountain of sensitive student data. This plan argues that protecting that data, what it calls achieving data sovereignty, isn't just a good idea, it's a core responsibility.
And the risks?
they're very real. We're talking about everything from tech vendors misusing student data, to biased AI tools, and even federal laws that could let the government grab that data without anyone knowing. The OEQA would have a dedicated data librarian whose whole job is to be the district's expert guardian against all these modern threats. And the plan has some really clever tools to fight back. They're called poison pills. These are basically clauses that would be written into every tech contract. Things like banning vendors from using our kids' data to train their AI models, demanding strong encryption that we control, and closing legal loopholes to make sure Christina's student data stays safe and sound.
Okay, so let's tie all of this together. We've talked finance, we've talked culture, we've talked data security. How does this all add up to actually rebuilding trust with the community?
You know, when it comes to getting big grants from private foundations, there's this classic problem. Donors want to give money, but they need independent proof that it's actually making a difference. And let's be honest, a district evaluating its own programs is kind of like a student grading their own homework. It just doesn't have much credibility.
This is where the OEQA gets really innovative. It acts as what the plan calls an oracle. It's a trusted, independent third party. So a foundation can put money aside, the district can run a program, and then the OEQA comes in and audits the results. If the district meets its goals, the OEQA's stamp of approval unlocks the funding. It completely bridges that trust gap.
And look, this isn't just some far-off dream. There's a clear one-year roadmap to make it happen. You go from getting the board's approval to hiring the key people to actually having the office up and running and doing its first big projects, all within 12 months.
And this all leads to the big payoff, what the plan calls the referendum guarantee. Imagine the next time the district has to ask taxpayers for more funding. Because of the OEQA, the whole conversation changes. It's not just a plea for more cash. It becomes a guarantee, backed by hard data. Our independent office has proven this works. Your investment will deliver these specific results.
So it all comes down to this really powerful, forward-looking question. What would it mean for our community if we could build a system based on radical transparency and independent proof? This plan suggests it's the path to not just funding our schools, but truly trusting them. What would that future look like?